Welcome back everyone, it is Eric from Rare Candy, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys some early post-rotation tabletop gameplay showing off the new Miraidon EX up against Mew VMAX. So over there on the left, I'm going to be playing Miraidon EX along with the Regieleki VMAX, and over on the right we have a buddy of mine, Corey Miesimer. He was nice enough to help me put this video together for you guys. He's going to be playing an updated version of Mew VMAX with a couple new cards from Scarlet and Violet as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that does against a more unproven deck like Miraidon, which is seeing a little bit of hype. So we'll have to see if Miraidon can sort of hang with one of these, more established archetypes that we kind of know is going to be good going into the new format. Now, if you guys want to see the full deck list that we're going to be using in this video today, I actually did full deck profiles on the channel already for both of these lists. So if you guys do want to check those out, I'll be sure to have links to those down below in the description. And it looks like we're getting this game underway, and I think Corey is going to be going first, so he is going to be opening up with a Genesect V. Now his hand does look a little bit clunky. No doubt he's going to be looking for a Battle VIP pass. He does have a Cram-O-Matic. He could play that. It looks like he is also thinking about going for an Ultra Ball here. Just a question of really what does he want to discard at this point. We can see he's debating about getting rid of the Cram, but he might want to save that because I think I do see another item in Corey's hand. So yeah, he's going to get rid of, looks like a Judge and a Lost City with Ultra Ball, so we'll have to see what he's going to grab here. Okay, looks like he is eyeing himself down a Mew V. Now, if I do see correctly, I'm pretty sure he does have another item he can pitch away with this Cram. So Cram-O-Matic, of course, you discard an item from hand, you flip a coin of heads, you search your deck for any card. So that might be his out to finding Battle VIP Pass, which of course is the big card he wants to find on turn 1. So he's going to go for it and discard a Cross Switcher. And it looks like that was indeed a heads. That's pretty big because, his hand didn't really have a whole lot going on otherwise. So of course he is going to grab that Battle VIP Pass where he can search his deck for 2 basic Pokemon and put them on his bench. But of course the downside to this card is that you can only play it on turn 1. So Corey's definitely trying to play these cards while he does have a chance. And he's starting to get set up a little bit better here. He's going to activate at first Genesect V. Has that ability, of course, where he can draw until he has cards in his hand equal to the number of Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. But I'm just going to pass it over from there. Doesn't have a whole lot else to get going. And I'm going to use a new supporter that's going to be Arven. So this is actually, I think, a really cool card that's actually in both lists that we're using today. So with Arven, you get a Pokemon Tool card and an item and put it into your hand. So here you see I grab myself a Forest Seal Stone as well as a Nest Ball. And so even though just grabbing one Pokemon off of Nest Ball doesn't seem too impactful, if I'm grabbing a Miraidon EX, I can actually use that Tandem Unit ability to search my deck for 2 more additional basic Lightning Pokemon and put them onto my bench. And it looks like I'm just going to grab myself 2 Regieleki V here. I think there is some consideration for getting a second Miraidon and then using that one to get more Regielekis in play, but honestly guys, in this matchup, you really don't need more than one Miraidon EX to close out a game. Like, you're usually just going to use one. So, but here it looks like I am going to go for an Ultra Ball, just kind of debating what I want to get rid of here. And I think my idea at this point is I want to get the brand new Klefki. That's a card I'm running in this deck, and I can actually switch into that with Regieleki V and shut down those abilities on Corey's field. And we do see that Drapion V is in the deck too. That's definitely going to be an important card to be able to one-shot a Mew VMAX at some point. And then I do have that Forest Seal Stone, but there's really nothing else I really want this turn. I really need to save it for a draw supporter. So I'm just going to keep it in my hand just in case of a Lost Vacuum or something like that. So Corey is going to get down a Mew VMAX with a double turbo energy. And he does have a Judge, so he will be able to draw some cards, but the Klefki is definitely putting in some work since it does have that ability that shuts down the abilities of all basic Pokemon in play. So right now those Genesects can't do anything. Corey's going to have to find himself his Escape Rope or like some Cross Switchers if he does want to have access to these abilities. And off a 4-card hand, that might be pretty tough. And we see the Arven, and we see the Forest Seal Stone, so that is actually going to bail Corey out. He was definitely pretty fortunate there. And as long as the Escape Rope isn't prized, he will be able to get this Klefki out of the active, get access to his abilities, and honestly probably take a 2-prize KO, which feels kind of bad for me. So what are the odds out of, Corey's massive deck that he still had, he would hit a way to get around the Klefki here. So yeah, things are definitely going Corey's way here, despite, kind of an average first turn that he had. And here I'm just debating, what do I actually want to get rid of? I think there's consideration for getting rid of the Miraidon, just because I am going to need these Regielekis in the late game to take another one-shot against another Mew VMAX. But I must be... something might be prized, or there's got to be a reason I'm not just sacking the Miraidon here. Hard to say. I think maybe also the thought process is, well, this Regi can go down, but I can just search out another one with the Miraidon, so maybe that's okay. And Corey looks like he is dumping a couple of other cards in hand, getting rid of a double turbo and an Arven of his own. So there's going to be another Genesect. So Corey's just trying to dig through his deck, probably actually looking for a path to the peak. I think that's the big card he wants to find this turn. Even though the Klefki and was shutting him down and he didn't have access to his abilities, it seems weird he might want to shut down his abilities once again, but I think he just wants to preemptively make sure that Drapion can't take a return KO here. So there's going to be Featherball. It's a card we haven't really seen too much play of, until this point at least. I think maybe some Jolteon decks experimented with it at some point, but yeah, Featherball is actually a pretty cool card for Mew in the post-rotation format. You search your deck for a Pokemon with a 0 retreat cost and put it into your hand, so he can grab a Mew V as well as his Mew VMAX with this card. And Corey does have the path to the peak, which is huge here. So going to take that 2-prize KO, and now after the Judge plus path, he's really hoping I don't have the response, but he actually gave me the Drapion and a Professor's Research, so I just need a way to bump this Stadium, and I will be able to take a KO on this Mew VMAX. Now, right now, the issue is I don't have a good follow-up, and that's what I really need to start setting up this turn. But here I do find the Stadium, which is awesome. That's going to be that brand new Beach Court. It's going to reduce the retreat cost of my basic Pokemon by 1. But more importantly, it just serves as a way to activate Drapion's ability to allow it to take a one-shot against Mew VMAX here. So here, I'm just playing down my hand as much as possible. I want to start getting these Regieleki VMAXs in play, because what's going to happen is I'm going to knock out Mew. His Mew is going to return KO me, and then I need to set up for a big Miraidon KO on the following turn. So I need 3 Regieleki VMAXs or 2 plus a Choice Belt. Now, if Corey gets down or Choreo, that's where things get a little dicier, but I just need to start thinning stuff out of my deck and start setting up for this play. But there's going to be the knockout on the Mew VMAX, taking 3 prize cards, and now let's see what Corey is going to do. I think what he wants to do here is he would like to end this turn with a Path plus a Rock Sand. I think that's like the big play he wants to try to pull off here. Okay, there's going to be a Cramomatic. This is pretty big, and I can't tell what that is. I'm guessing that's a Tails. Okay, so he is going to retreat. Switch cart, just to play down his hand a little bit more. And he is going to heal off that Genesect by 30 in the process. Okay, we see another Cramomatic, so no doubt Corey is going to be looking for Roxanne here. And that does appear to be another Tails, so kind of a bummer for him. There's going to be the Palpat, so he's just trying to play down his hand as much as possible. I imagine we'll see a Judge come back. So just going to go for 2 Judge. He just wants to make sure he can disrupt my hand as much as possible this turn, because he can probably see I'm building up towards a big Miraidon KO on this next turn. And he just wants to reduce the chances of something like that happening. Okay, there's going to be Mew VMAX. We see a Lost Vacuum getting rid of my Stadium, but more importantly, it's just allowing Corey to thin his own hand down to draw more cards here. And there's the Roxanne, which is huge. There's double Turbo Energy plus Roxanne. If he can just find the path, that's going to be the card he needs now to finish this big Wombo combo. Because if he can put me down to a 2-card hand and turn off the abilities of all my Rulebox Pokemon, it's really going to be difficult for me to cobble together all the pieces I need for my final KO. Because I actually do need still an Electricity Generator to hit, and another damage modifier, and a counter Stadium to make this happen. Well, there's the Stadium. That's a good start. But my hand is, it's pretty bad, let's be honest, guys. Like, even if Corey doesn't have the path, my hand is still bad enough to where it might not make much of a difference. But let's see, Corey is still... Yeah, he's going to Ultra Ball here, probably just thin. or actually probably just fail the search here. He doesn't have another bench spot. But yeah, no doubt he's going to be trying to play down his hand as much as possible so this last Genesect of his can grab him a path to the peak. I think that's the idea. And okay, and he does find it, so that is huge. Like that's like an insane comeback on this turn. So yeah, at this point, I need something good. Ugh, and a lightning energy is not it. But honestly, even if he didn't have the path, my hand would still be in a bad spot. So I think I honestly just have to retreat into Klefki to shut off his abilities. But there he shows me he has the boss's orders for game. So yeah, what an insane clapback at the end there. You know, I think I did everything I could there on my previous turn. I thinned as much as possible, setting up as many Regielekis as possible to ideally try to be able to get this one shot on his next Mew VMAX, but the Roxanne path did its job. My hand was bricked as a result. But we are going to do a best of 3 series here, guys, so I definitely have a chance to bring this back. But as you can see, Mew VMAX still doing Mew VMAX stuff. Like the deck, even without cards like Quick Ball, still seems to function pretty great in this new format. But since I did lose the previous game, no doubt I'm going to choose to go first. Gonna get down, looks like I'm a Miraidon EX. I can use that ability, of course, to search my deck for 2 more Regielekis, I would assume here. Yeah, that seems pretty good. I'm not sure if I have a way to get a Klefki into play. That is something that could be good. I'm not sure if I have that play at my disposal here, but that would kind of function like a turn 1 path against Mew if I could pull that off. But we'll see what I'm going to be able to do. I think I saw Drapion in hand as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I do there. Saw some lightning energy, but I couldn't really get a good look at what else I might have to work with. So from there, I might even just see an attachment and then a pass after that. So yeah, just going to start preemptively attaching to Miraidon. And just to pass on over to Corey. So I honestly wouldn't even mind a judge from him this turn. Like, I have stuff I can do with my hand, but I don't have a draw supporter, and that's really the issue that I'm facing right now. So Corey, he's going to kick things off with a Nest Ball, of course. That's going to be that new card coming out in Scarlet and Violet, where you get to search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it directly on your bench, and then he's going to follow that up with a Feather Ball, where you can search his deck for a Pokemon with a 0 retreat cost. Just going to get another Mew V. From there, Corey's hand isn't looking too great. He is going to have to, looks like, discard a Path to the Peak and a Mew VMAX if he does want to. Okay, so he is going to get rid of a Choice Belt. That's fine, too. And there's going to be a Genesect V. So he's just trying to see more cards, if at all possible. I think the only card I think Corey really wants at this point is probably just going to be a double Turbo Energy. Like, he has a decent amount of Pokemon play. If he can just fill his bench and gets the Battle VIP pass like a god there. So he is going to be able to fill his bench up a little bit more. And there's going to be the Oricorio, which is a card that actually could be really important in this matchup, because the game plan for the Miraidon deck is you take your first Mew KO with your Drapion V, your opponent return KOs your Drapion, but throughout these turns you've been building your field up to a point where you have enough Regieleki VMAXs for your Miraidon EX to take a one-shot against the second Mew VMAX. But the Oricorio actually forces you to need an additional damage modifier, meaning you need a Choice Belt or you need a 4th VMAX in play. So the Oricorio here actually could be huge. And yeah, this is definitely a good turn for Corey there. Found the DTE, filled his bench, got pretty much everything he wants here. And so I'd imagine we'll just see a pass at that point. And he is just going to retreat into the Oricorio. That's okay with me. Now, my hand is in pretty rough shape, unfortunately. I definitely have... I think the idea here is, well, I can sit back and let Corey get a free 2-prize KO and me not have anything to work with. Then I knock out his Mew with Drapion, and then since I've barely played any cards, he could Roxanne me, and it's going to be like really difficult to get my last KO at that point. So I can go that route, or I can boss up the Mew with the DTE, and just take an instant KO. That's like the dilemma I'm sort of faced with here, I think, at this point. Now, the one thing I do want to see this turn, though, is I do want to see another tandem unit get an additional Regieleki in play. Because that's another card I could thin out of deck just to help better draw into a draw supporter here. But here you can see I'm pretty conflicted about what I want to do. So I am going to use tandem unit. Definitely makes sense. Do I have another Regieleki in deck? That's another question. Okay, I think I did see one, though. I think it was towards the back of my deck, if I saw correctly. Okay, yeah, that definitely seems good. So I recognize the OHKO is in play. So I'm definitely going to need some additional damage modifiers to get around this thing. So weirdly enough, I think there's also the consideration just to knock out the OHKO with Drapion. I know that seems weird, but I think I'm going to have to take 3 knockouts no matter what to win this game. And the OHKO would make it easier to get the next 2. But, I mean, I think still taking out the Mew here is still good just because my hand is dead. And he had a DTE in play, so it might make it a little bit harder for Corey to pull off his next attack with Mew VMAX. But here, just trying to decide where I want to put that 60 damage from Drapion's attack. So it looks like I am going to go with the Miraidon here. I think that's probably fine. You don't want to set up damage on like a Regieleki to give up 3 prizes down the road. And probably do want to leave it off of the Drapion, just to maybe increase the likelihood it can actually survive a turn. But it's still definitely possible for me to win this one, especially if I can pull off the big Wombo combo to knock out this Mew VMAX after Drapion goes down. But there's going to be the judge. Cool with that, guys. I mean, my hand was dead. Or actually not sure what I got off the prizes there, but prior to my prizes, my hand was dead. So I'll actually take the hand disruption here. So at this point, Corey just needs a single damage modifier to make up for that 20 reduction from double turbo energy. And he's going to be able to nuke this Drapion with his Mew VMAX. Okay, that's probably not what he wants to see. There's going to be a Genesect, so we can draw 2 more cards. And that is definitely a bit of a clunky hand. This is where, like, Nest Ball does kind of feel a bit worse than Quick Ball, because in, you know, the pre-rotation format, he'd be able to play Quick Ball and thin some cards out of hand, but right now he can't even play the Nest Ball. So we actually might even have to Lost Vacuum away this Nest Ball. Yeah, to remove his Stadium card, just to thin his hand a little bit more. So this is going to be his last Genesect. If he doesn't hit his damage modifier, he's going to be in some trouble here. And here you can see Corey says he whiffed it, so I'm pumped. You know, I'm in this game at this point. And so there's going to be the retreat into the OHKO. And honestly, I'm perfectly content with OHKO going down. But here, just going to go for a research. I would like to find a switching card here to maybe try to save this Drapion for the next turn. Even though I have that new Beach Court Stadium in play, Drapion has a 2 retreat cost. But unfortunately, there's no switching card in sight. But the good news is, I do have this Drapion to still take a KO here. And at that point, I just need to take 1 knockout with Miraidon at that point. So either way, this is still okay, I think. So here, just going to do 190 to this OHKO, just going to put 60 on my field. Probably on a Regieleki, I would imagine. That seems okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to 3 prizes, which is actually big, because now I just need to get a KO on Mew VMAX, and that's going to be the game, guys. Now, I have crossed that 3 prize threshold, so I now am sort of in danger of a Roxanne, and we see it right in Corey's hand here. So we could even see him go for Path just right out the gate, but we see a Cross Switcher. So let's see what he's going to do here. There's going to be the Cross Switcher on my Miraidon. Okay, interesting. So normally you would want to knock out Drapion just because it gets a free KO on your Mew VMAX. But I think Corey's idea, at least here, is, well, I'm going for the Path play no matter what. So if I put a Path in play, Drapion can't do anything to me. But if Path is in play, Miraidon might not be able to knock me out, but it can set up for a 2-shot. So I think his thought is I kind of lose to a Path being bumped either way. So maybe this gives me a better shot at closing out the game. Maybe that's his thought process. There's going to be a Kramamak, so of course he is looking for that path to the peak. There's going to be a Tails, but he still does have quite a few Genesects he can use here. Okay, and there's the path, so that's exactly what Corey wanted to see. There's going to be another Genesect. And there's going to be the path to the peak, so he is going to be able to knock out this Miraidon. Now, the good news is I just need a counter stadium, and that's going to be game. Now, I didn't get a good look at my hand, though. That definitely will influence what happens here. So, okay, and there's actually going to be, looks like Serena, so there's going to be a Nest Ball. So, thinking about going for another Miraidon. I could even go for Klefki. That's also an option. But just going to go for the Miraidon here. I was thinking if I whiff the means to pull off an attack this turn, I could always just retreat into a Klefki, but here you can see I'm thinking about something, but then we're just going to Serena this hand away. So again, we just need counter stadium or lost vacuum, and that is going to be the game, guys. Oof, but that unfortunately is yeah, that's not what we like to see. That's pretty bad. Yeah, this feels pretty awful. So now it's like, well, what do you even do with this hand at this point? Like, I feel like I have to just leave Regieleki VMAX in the active since it can tank a hit. And I can start to try to power up this Miraidon on the bench. And honestly, that's what I'd like to do since that's one of my only ways at closing out this game if Corey does have some sort of boss or gusting card next turn. But the issue is my hand is kind of dead, and I might have to just even attack with the Regieleki VMAX here, because at least that can put some pressure onto a Mew VMAX, and that way if Corey does boss up my Drapion and knocks that out, that other Mew is still just a boss's orders or Serena away from being knocked out. I really don't want the energy on Regieleki, but I guess the silver lining is that I haven't used any electricity generators this game, so if I can draw out of this, there is a chance I still will be able to power up a Miraidon in one turn at some point. So I'm going to grab myself a Klefki here instead of a VMAX. That seems interesting. Okay, I think I see my thought process here. If Corey does have the means to take a KO and bump this path to the peak, I can at least just promote a Klefki and potentially lock his abilities, try to slow him down to set up for my big Miraidon play. So here's going to be the Power Tablets to increase his damage by 30. We see a Cram-O-Matic as well. I think that's Tails, but there's the Cross Switcher on the Drapion. So this path to the peak sticking is, I mean, Corey's whole game plan is really sort of coming together here. It's kind of working out just the way he wanted. And at this point, he's only a boss away from winning the game. So I think I just have to promote Regieleki here. Has free retreat. Okay, and the next card is Lost Vacuum. Yeah, that definitely would have been good like a whole turn ago. But still definitely an important card if I do want to eventually take a one-shot with Miraidon. But as for this turn, I think I'm a little bit conflicted about what route I want to go here. Because I can swing with Regieleki, basically making sure that each of these Mews is just one attack away from being knocked out. But if Corey can bump his stadium, he can probably gain access to his abilities again and find that boss he needs to end the game. So I might even just have to promote the Klefki just to buy another turn. So I am going to go for the attack, but at least having Klefki down still makes me a little bit escape rope proof. So let's see what Corey is going to do here. I think it's pretty unlikely he can knock out this Regieleki VMAX. Has 310 HP. There's going to be the Power Tablets. Another double turbo. And there's going to be a Judge. Okay. Best case scenario. Love to see it. Yeah, so Corey definitely just bailed me out of this hand. Now, to be fair, maybe he didn't think my hand was like completely dead, because he did see me, you know, cobble together an attack this turn on that previous turn. So I don't know, maybe he got a read on me, thought I might have boss in hand, but there's escape rope. So that's honestly great. I love to see that, because that actually resets Regieleki's attack, because it does 220 and you can't attack on the next turn. So Corey's actually kind of helping me out here. But to be fair, he probably didn't know my hand was like complete doggy doo-doo. So, yeah, he's going to go down to a single prize. And now all I need is either a boss's orders or I need a KO with this Miraidon. Okay, and here you can see this is kind of heartbreaking. I'm playing that new Electricity Generator card. You look at the top 5 cards of your deck, attach up to 2 Lightning Energy there. You find 2 your benched Lightning Pokemon in any way that you like. So there's going to be another one. I definitely need these to start hitting. Okay, there's going to be one. Kind of heartbreaking it's not too, because now I need a manual attachment plus an additional Electricity Generator at that point. But here you can see I have the attachment, and I'm debating here, I remember, well, I have this counter stadium. I could just attack this active Mew VMAX and leave this path to the peak and play, and maybe Corey doesn't have game here. And here you can see I'm just double checking all of his cards he's used at this point. I'm just trying to think, okay, how many Gust cards has Corey used? How many stadium bumping cards has Corey used? And as I'm taking a peek here, as you can see, there's no Boss's Orders in the discard. I think there's still another Cram. I think there's a Lost City still in deck. And so I'm just debating, like, what are the odds Corey has what he needs to close out the game here? Because if I bump the stadium and play this research, there is a chance that I don't find what I need, but then Corey can draw to find what he needs to win the game. But here, I'm going to go for it. We're going for a research, discarding hand, drawing 7. So I need another damage modifier plus another Electricity Generator. Okay, so there's the Ultra Ball. We got a Forest Seal Stone. Okay, so we are in this one. So there's going to be the Forest Seal Stone. Activating that, search my deck for any card. So I'm going to grab that Electricity Generator. And I have some Ball Search cards in hand, so I definitely need to thin my deck a little bit here to increase the odds I can hit an energy off of this Electricity Generator. So here's the Ultra Ball. That can guarantee me the Regieleki here. Okay, there's going to be Nest Ball. So again, just trying to thin as many non-energy cards out of deck as possible. And so with the Regielekis, they're going to buff my basic Lightning Pokemon by 30. And right now, I am going to be hitting for 310 against Mew VMAX. And the first card there with the Electricity Generator is the Lightning Energy. And we're going to give it to the Mew VMAX and finally take it down here after what was a pretty grindy back and forth game. That judge definitely saved me at the end there. I mean, I don't know what my next card would have been had Corey not judged me, but that definitely put me back in the game. So I am going to force a game 3 here against Mew VMAX. We'll have to see how this third game is going to go. We saw the Roxanne path just putting in work, shutting me out of the game at the end of game 1. So no doubt Corey's going to be thinking about trying to do the same thing if at all possible. So here I actually am going to be able to start with Klefki, which is a pretty good starter. I mean, it is going to shut off my own Miraidon from being able to set up and activate its ability. But nevertheless, it definitely could make Corey's first turn kind of awkward. But God, this is a pretty explosive start for Corey's deck. Doesn't even need his abilities, and he's able to set up like almost his entire bench right away here. So we'll see what he's going to get here. We could see another Genesect, or we could see Oricorio. I think either of those are fine. So there's the Genesect. Oh, he's second guessing himself a little bit, but there's the Genesect. I like that. And even if he can't do much else this turn, I mean, what else do you really need? Maybe a double Turbo Energy just to get down. But other than that, for this turn at least, he's looking pretty good. Next turn might be a bit of a different story looking at his hand. Okay, so here, debating what I want to do, going to get rid of a Research and Ultra Ball, it appears. Okay, so it looks like I'm actually going to go for a Regieleki V. It might seem a little bit weird to go for the Eleki instead of a Miraidon, but I think the reason here is I have the Beach Court in hand, so I can actually play that to retreat into Regieleki, and then be able to attack with it to switch back into Klefki at the end of the turn, since Regieleki actually does have a pretty good first attack that is 30, and you switch into one of your bench Pokemon. And also I can get the Forest Seal Stone down on Regieleki, whereas I wouldn't activate if it was on a Miraidon EX. So pretty good first turn so far, just looking for a Miraidon, and I do get there. So now what I can do is I can retreat and now activate that Miraidon to get a couple more Regielekis into play. So I think I do see Drapion in deck. That's definitely good. So let's see what I'm going to do here. I'd imagine we'll just see the 2 Alekis. I don't really see the need to get a second Miraidon. I think there is always the consideration for it, but if I'm being honest, it's probably just not necessary in this particular matchup. Okay, just going to shuffle up, and at that point, like I said, guys, probably just going to see the 30 and switch effect back into the Clef Key. I could activate the Forest Sealstone now, but I mean, there's not much else I really want. Maybe another Regieleki V. I could see that. But I may as well save this, especially if Corey does judge me or something, puts me into a dead hand. This would allow me an out to be able to bail myself out of that situation. And it looks like I'm a little bit conflicted about something there, but just going to do the 30 and switch into the Clef Key. And the 30 damage actually could be good here too. Just because if Corey is able to get down another OHKO again, that could force me to need some additional damage. So the 30 is actually kind of relevant. But man, what a top deck from Corey. His hand was actually not that good, but that Cramomatic is definitely going to save him here. So more than likely, I imagine we'll see an escape rope to get around. Oh, but there's the cross switcher. Ooh, that's actually really big, because now we can actually take out my Regieleki with the Forest Sealstone attached, which would deny me of being able to ever make use of that. So he just needs a double turbo energy, and he's going to be feeling pretty good about the spot that he's in here. Oh, so it looks like Corey almost evolved a little bit preemptively, but first he is going to retreat, use the switch cart to heal that 30 damage off. He recognizes how important that 30 damage could be, so he wants to make sure that's not going to be a factor later in the game. Okay, and we see the path to the peak, so he's ready to path me this turn as well. He is just looking for double turbo at this point, and there's the head. So man, what a pop-off from Corey. His hand wasn't looking that good for this turn, and literally that one cram just completely turned this entire game around. So I was kind of looking forward to the Clef Key slowing down Corey for a few turns, but yeah, it didn't stick, unfortunately. And so Corey's just trying to draw as many cards as he can before he puts this path to the peak down. Yeah, so pretty insane turn that he has here. And yeah, there's the KO. So now I'm just like, man, what do I do here? Luckily though, I do top deck the Beach Courts. That's great, because now I can go for that Drapion play. And I do have Arven, so I'm just going to play the Arven instead of Research, just because the Arven will guarantee me what I need. So of course I can get a Pokemon tool and an item. So I definitely want to get that Drapion V. So very fortunate, I do have a bit of a response here. I also do have that EXP share. I'm not really sure how relevant that's going to be at this point. If I had it down last turn, it could have been a little bit more impactful. But here, I'm just going to use Tandem Unit to get down another Regieleki V. Because again, I know that OHKO is going to mess me up. I need to get 3 Regielekis into play, or VMAXs into play, specifically ASAP here. You know, I'm pretty aware there's probably a Roxanne or a Judge coming, so I just need to start getting set up as much as possible in case my hand gets disrupted. Now, I do have a Choice Belt in hand, but I actually don't want to play that here just because I know Corey does play multiple Lost Vacuums, and if he does vacuum that thing away, I kind of just lose at that point, if we're being honest, because I'll never be able to actually one-shot Mew VMAX so long as this OHKO is in play. And there we see the Lost Vacuum in Corey's hand, so very good that I did not get that down here, even though I do run the risk of losing it to, again, something like this Judge that Corey's about to hit me with. So we saw how good not putting my damage from Drapion onto Drapion was in the last game, so I'm going to put that 60 onto the bench Clef Key, and hopefully, you know, hoping that Corey can't one-shot my Drapion back like last game, but he has that Power Tablets in play, so unfortunately, that play is not going to happen, you know, in this third game here. So let's see what Corey's going to do. I'm not sure, has he used both paths to the peaks yet? That's something I am wondering. He's probably looking for another path, if at all possible, this turn. There's actually going to be 4 Sealstone. That could be really big here. So let's see what he's going to grab with that. So it looks like he's thinking about another Mew V. And I guess that's okay. I mean, Mew V always does allow him to have another free retreater in case he has to play something like Cross Switcher or something like that. But let's see what he's going to do here. He seems a little bit conflicted about what route he wants to go. He's debating between the Path and the Mew, but he is ultimately going to settle on the Mew here. But he definitely does need to find that Path, because he knows my whole strategy that I'm going for. I'm trying to build up these Regielekis for this next turn to take one big one-shot with this Miraidon EX. So let's see if he can find it. Okay, there's going to be his last Genesect. And okay, so no Path to the Peak. That's actually pretty big this time. Here I'm debating who I want to promote. I don't know if it matters too much either way. Okay, there we go. So I do have Electricity Generator, but I am going to use Tandem Unit before I do anything else. Just want to thin my deck as much as possible. Okay, so I'm just going to grab myself a Miraidon EX here. Just trying to thin as many non-energies out of deck before I play this Electricity Generator. So this is a pretty big one. I need at least one energy to hit here to be able to guarantee an attack with Miraidon this turn. Okay, and there it is. That's perfect. So between that plus my manual attachment, I'm guaranteed an attack with Miraidon. And at that point, I just need to finish getting my damage modifiers to eventually get this KO. And there's going to be the judge. So a big 4 cards here. Definitely not the supporter I want to see, but I need to hit a Regieleki plus a Choice Belt if I want to get this KO. Because unfortunately, that Oricorio is reducing my damage by 20, forcing me to need that second damage modifier. Ugh, man, that is not the 4 cards I wanted. Well, one of them is, I did get a Regieleki VMAX, so it definitely was fortunate in that regard. But man, that feels rough. Literally just 1 card away from just sealing up the game here. Now, I guess that being said, I have a couple options. Like, I can just attack with Miraidon if I really want to. But then, of course, I mean, it's pretty easy for Corey to be able to, just KO me back. He only needs a single damage modifier to pull that off. So here I'm just trying to check Corey's discard, kind of just weighing the odds of this Miraidon being able to survive a turn if I do attack with it. The alternative, of course, is that I just retreat into Klefki and just try to buy a little bit of time until I can top deck out of this bad hand I judged myself into. At this point, either of these doesn't really feel like a winning strategy, though. So I think it's visibly clear that I'm aware of the tough spot that I've found myself in right now. But let's see which way I decide to go here. Yeah, there's the retreat into Klefki. Kind of saw this one coming. May as well evolve the Regieleki V on the bench. Not really too much of a downside. And just have to pass, unfortunately. Okay, yeah, Corey's hand is stacked. He can definitely win this one no matter what here. Because he has a boss. Well, actually, he wouldn't be able to boss. He would need a switching card to pull that off. But either way, he has the Cramomatic head. So he's going to be able to get exactly what he needs for game here. There's going to be a cross switcher. And I think he actually has Arven in hand. So Arven could get him the game. But I'm not going to lie here, guys. We actually did mess this up slightly. You'll see in just a second. Corey tries to grab a Choice Belt. Then I remind him, oh wait, Choice Belt's not going to actually work on Miraidon, so just grab Power Tablets instead. But the issue is you can't grab 2 items, and Corey grabbed a Cross Switcher already, and he wouldn't have been able to grab the Power Tablets. I apologize, we didn't catch this until after the games had already been recorded, but I'm not gonna lie, Corey's deck is pretty thin here between a Cramomatic Heads and Arven and his Genesect that he has on the field. I still am pretty confident Corey would win that one here no matter what, unless he just got insanely unlucky. But yes, that play at the end there is technically incorrect. And again, I do apologize. We didn't catch that until after this video had been recorded. But either way, aside from that goof up there at the end of Game 3, I hope you still enjoyed the series overall. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you want to see the full deck list for both of these, I'll have links to those down below in the description. But if you guys did enjoy today's content, as always, remember to leave a like on the video. And if you're feeling maybe a little extra generous and you want to take that support to the next level, you can also become a patron at patreon.com/rarecandytcg or pick up some merch at rarecandytcg.com. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.